Hello. In this video, I want to show you how to use do until in Power Automate. I know it sounds very basic, and it is very basic, but if you know me well enough, you know I don't stop at the basic level. Apparently, I have a problem with leaving simple things alone, but that's a different story. We will start at the ridiculously simple level and take it all the way to controlling the loop condition using PowerFX expressions. So yes, we are going from repeat this until that happens to hold on a second. Who invited this guy to talk about do until? So I believe the do until loop in Power Automate is very underrated. It's far more capable than most flow designers realize. And no, it can't actually run forever. Power Automate has limits, even if your logic doesn't. We will talk about those limits too. So let's get started. Let's see how do until works in Power Automate. You can use do until into almost similar ways. One way is something like this: drop and give me 20, so we want a task repeated for a specific number of iterations, or it's going to be do it until I ask you to stop. Remember these two examples? We will get back to it. Inside Power Automate, I created a flow. It's a manual flow, and I want to add, you guessed it, do until to this flow. Done. Let's forget about this one for a second. Do until is a block of actions. You can put whatever you want inside it just by pressing this plus, and it's going to repeat whatever that is inside it at least once without checking any condition. After that, it's going to check a specific condition, and if that condition is happy, it will stop and it will continue with the rest of the flow. If the condition is false, it's going to come back and repeat the same thing until that condition is satisfied. Now, it looks like it gives you only one condition, but in reality, you can combine unlimited number of conditions here that we will get to that by the end of this video. In general, when everybody wants to introduce do until, they give you a counterexample. So let's say do something for 5 times, like send me a message for 5 times on Teams. So let me just click on this plus and go for Teams post. And hopefully I will find post a message to myself. And I can click on this one. The message to myself is going to be, it's time to move. I don't want to change anything else after that, and we are good. Now, here is the thing. At the moment, it doesn't do anything because do until does not have any condition. If I click on this one and I can say, do it until 1 is equal to 1, simply it runs it once, it comes to the end and say, oh, the condition is happy, we are good, so we can continue. I don't need to repeat the same thing again. Just like here, that poor Ali Raza does one push-up and the drill instructor says, stop. So I can get back on my feet. Let's test it. Manually, save and test, and run flow. Done. And I can simply go back to my Teams, and it says it's time to move only once. Now let's make it a little bit better. I click on edit, and this time I want to send a message, but this time I want to send it 5 times. So I call it take 2. So I can differentiate between the messages and runs. So now I need a counter. This counter can be implemented in different ways. First is that regardless of this condition is always true. Let's make it always false. So loop until 1 is equal to 2, which will never happen. And it simply means that this flow has to run forever. But we don't want that. So in this case, I can say, yes, regardless of this condition, run it for 5 times. Let's see how it works. Saved, test, manually test, and run flow. Done. Okay, seems that it worked. Yes, it ran 5 times. And if I go back to my Teams, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we are good. But there's a tiny problem here. If I click on this edit and I click on this do until, you will see that this count is under advanced parameters. Also, there is timeout, which is under advanced parameters. And you may think, this is such a basic setting. Why is it under advanced parameters? Well, advanced parameters are a little bit finicky. Let me explain. Let's say this counter, instead of 5, it's going to be in a variable. So I say initialize variable. There we go. And I want to call this variable var underscore counter. And I put the same thing for the name. The type is going to be integer. And the value is going to be 5, right? This is normal. Quite often we want to put the counter of something that should happen in a variable, or we take it from an external source. Let's see if we can put that variable instead of this count. I come back here, although here it has this tiny thing, and I can say put my var counter here. Apparently it accepts it. Let's try and save it. Bingo. It cannot save it because these advanced parameters are available, they work, but with a tiny little condition. And that is, you can either hard code them or you can get their values directly from the trigger. If the value is not coming from the trigger, you cannot put anything else there. So instead of variable, if I go to manually trigger a flow and add an input, and I can pick a number, I call it message counter, and whatever the user enters, it doesn't really matter. I can come back here and do until. Instead of var counter, which is something inside the flow, I can pick it up from the trigger, which was message counter. This one is happy. So let me get back to this message, and instead of take 2, I say take 3. I just save it, and let's test it again. Manually test, and I say send me the message 4 times, and I can say run flow, and done. Apparently completed. Let me get back to my teams. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. It did as we wanted, but you see the limitations that you have with this advanced option. The primary use case of something like this is not with a manual flow. Typically, you can use it when the counter is coming from an external call, something like you have a Power App and you want to call a flow and you want to pass the counter from Power App to flow. In this case, it works. The other option is that you have a child flow that the counter comes from the trigger parameter from a parent flow. Also, in that case, you can bring the count here and just ignore the loop condition. So we learned a little bit about the count. For now, let's get rid of it and put a large number, for example, 1000, so that we can handle the loop counter with a condition, not just with the counter here. And I want to put the counter in a variable. And now this variable has the value of 5. And if on each iteration I decrement this number by 1, after 5 times it reaches 0. So if I click on my do until, and I can say do until this variable, which is my var counter, is equal to 0. If I run it now, it will run 4,000 times because there is nothing inside this loop that actually changes the value inside this variable. So every time that this loop runs, it should deduct one number from this 5. So I click on this 5 and I can say decrement variable. There we go. I found it. I can pick the variable that I want, var counter, and the value every time I want to decrement 1. Okay, I go to my message. I change it to take 4. I just save it, and let's test it and run it and see what happens this time. Manually test, and message counter, it doesn't really matter anymore because this input doesn't get into our loop. I click on run flow, done, complete. Now let's check our teams. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times, take 4. And this is exactly what we had inside our variable. Let me go to edit, and that's how it works. Now, under do until, what if you want to check more than one condition? There is no way apparently here that you can add a second condition, third condition, or anything else like that. But we have something called edit in advanced mode. So if I click on edit in advanced mode, it brings us here. Whatever the formula you put here, that's going to be your condition. So technically, the condition that we put there, it simply turns into equals, which is a PowerFX function, the var and 0. Hey, if I change this 0 to 5, just for a change, and I click on Edit in Basic Mode, I'm getting back to the same thing. But now, if I click on Advanced Mode, I can combine this condition, and that's fantastic. All right, so let's fix this mess that we just created. It's 0, and we are good for now. Let me just save it. Now let's look into this weird format for timeout. What is this? PT1H. Well, from the moment that I see this stupid thing, I was curious what kind of weird format it is. But let me explain. In the next few seconds, it makes perfect sense. This is what we have as our cheat sheet. P stands for period. So whenever you specify the timeout, you start with P. Y stands for years. M stands for months, assuming that it is before T. Here you have a T. If you find M after T, it's minutes. If it is before T, it is months. D stands for days. T separates the date and month, so if we have time included in the duration, you should put it after T. M stands for minutes, and S stands for seconds. Does it make sense yet? Okay, let's go through a few examples. PT30S. We totally disregard P in these formulas. T separates date and time. So anything after T is time. So PT30S, you guessed it, 30 seconds. PT5M, because M is after T, it is something related to time, which is minute. So 5 minutes. PT30M, easy, 30 minutes. PT1H, it's 1 hour. PT2H, well, obvious. PT1D, you see here there is no T, which means there is no time. So P1D is 1 day. P7D, obvious, 7 days. P30D is 30 days. And I made it red because this is the maximum timeout duration that you can set for do until. Microsoft does not let you set the timeout for any do until loop longer than 30 days. And finally, the most complex one is P1D T6H. So it's 1 days and 6 hours. And I leave the last one for you. Put it down for me in the comments. Now you start thinking, if the max is 30 days, why do we need years and months again here? Well, you really don't. It's a part of the standard formula, but you cannot use it. Now, if you look at this PT1H and wonder which Microsoft developer came up with this nonsense, leave Microsoft alone for once. This is called ISO 8601. You can look it up and learn more about it. But no matter how this formula is, this timeout is extremely helpful. So far, so good. We learned about count, condition, timeout, advanced parameters, limitations of using advanced parameters, and also ISO 8601. But none of that adds any value if you cannot use it in real-life scenarios. So let's put everything together in one working scenario. The demo scenario is going to be wait for a support ticket. I try to keep it as simple as possible. A high priority support ticket is created in SharePoint. The flow must keep checking the ticket until reaches a final state. And that final state is not going to be just one single value. Your do until should keep checking while the ticket is being worked on, and stop when the status becomes resolved or rejected or canceled. But here is the thing. It's a high priority ticket, so we cannot wait forever. Now you see how that timeout PT1H or 1 hour or whatever the duration that we specify makes sense. So if none of the conditions are met within an hour, we want to escalate the ticket. Well, now you know what to expect in part 2 of this video. Yes, we are going to create a flow for this exact scenario. I'll put the link right here on the screen as soon as the video is out. So don't worry, the wait won't be long, but until then, you have no other choice but to subscribe and wait for the notification. Thank you for watching, and I'm pretty sure you won't be able to resist the next video.